Hey everyone, it's the Shawn. Welcome to another edition of the Women Business Leaders Show. Our goal is to bring lessons from women business leaders to other women business leaders about how can we advance, how can we do more things, how can we help each other, and how can we really grow in the business world. Today joining us is Chrissy Cook, also known as Crypto Chrissy. She's got a lot of connections and work in the technology space. We're going to be talking specifically about building communities around technology with women. This is a topic we visited before, and it's something we like to focus on because building community is so important, and that's something we hear a lot from women business leaders. Is one of the challenges or struggles is getting the right community, and having that right community can really be a key to success. Joining me along with Chrissy today is my regular co-host, Casey Hasten, VIP Search Group. She is your resource for recruiting. She helps patch people with the right jobs, get the right personalities in the right positions, get the right jobs going. We'll be hearing more from Casey as we jump into the interview. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Shawn. I'm a corporate lawyer by training. I help people with ownership and control of their business, mergers, capital raise, partnership agreements, contract negotiations. I'm also a TEDx speaker on women in business. And I spend a lot of time looking at the future business, which is where this show evolved from, is thinking about how can we work together as better as teams, women, men, everybody together to really build the future of business. We love your input and comments. We know you're watching somewhere. You might be watching the Women Business Leaders YouTube channel, which we hope you subscribe to and rung the bell for. Drop your comments down there. Let us know what you're learning as you go, what challenges you're having. You might also be watching on LinkedIn or our Shawn McBride Fans Alliance Facebook. Wherever you're at, drop your comments. We want to hear from you, what's going on in your world, so we know better how to address content to you. We'll come back and we'll reply to you, maybe get into a discussion. We'd love to help you out. Remind folks, we don't do investment advice or legal advice on the show. Everything here is just for your education. Consult your own advisors before you make any substantial decisions, but hopefully we're spurning some ideas that will help you do more in business. So, Chrissy, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Shawn, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we had a variety of things that you're doing because I know you're very active in the community, particularly with cryptocurrency and other things. And one of the things that came up as we got talking was, you're building a community of women around technology and the future business. You want to talk a little bit about what you're doing and what prompted that, what got you moving that direction?
Oh, Shawn, it's I just love crypto. Let me just say that. It's been a fantastic 2.5 years, almost 3 years actually. So let me give you a little bit of my background. I started out right out of high school with a 200-bed hospital as a personnel office representative. And just from there, I moved into hospital administration, which led me into provider relations, into technology, and I ended up at HP, or EDS, which then HP bought EDS. So I've been mainly an account manager, customer manager, project manager for healthcare IT development. Okay, so when I started back in my provider relations days, back in 1994, one of the first things that happened was my boss walked into my office and he handed me a modem with a phone cord. Okay. And he said, Chrissy, this thing is called a modem and it plugs into the back of your computer and into the phone jack. And I need you to figure out what this internet thing is. And I said, okay. So when crypto came around and blockchain came around, I was just so excited because I was like, wow, this is like 1994 all over again.
Yep.
And I love technology and innovation. I'm very much a visionary person. Yep. So, people will run an idea by me or, we'll get to talking about their business. And I'm like, well, what about this? And the light bulb will go off and they're like, oh my gosh, that'll 10x my business. And I'm like, and then you can add this. And so that's kind of the stuff that I like to do. When I very first started, I was introduced to Bitcoin, just like I think most people out there are, in September of 16. Okay. So it took me from September of 16 until January of 17 to really figure out what it was, because I was like, well, what do you mean buy a Bitcoin?
Right.
And, you know, my one of my mentors at that time, he was like, well, you need to do it. It's like digital money. And I'm like, well, I don't understand what it is. Are they going to mail it to me? You know, am I going to receive it in the mail?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many of us have heard that, right?
Yep.
And so I just started studying it. And I bought my first portion of a Bitcoin in January of 2017. And I'm very passionate about healthcare and the elderly. And I'm very much a healthcare advocate.
Yep.
And so on March 7th of 2017, I went, I think I'm going to Google blockchain in healthcare.
Okay.
And an article came up, and I think it was by Deloitte, and they were talking about moving medical record transactions to the blockchain. And I just went, oh my gosh, you are speaking my language.
A lot of excitement around that area, yes.
Oh yeah, lots of excitement. Well, back then I was like, here we go. Finally, here we go. Because, I spent over 20 years in claims transaction, business process outsourcing and medical transactions. So very familiar with that. So it talked about the Ethereum blockchain, and I was like, well, what is that? And I remembered seeing it over on my Coinbase account. By the way, if anyone is looking to purchase, just send me a message and I'll hook you up with Coinbase. And so I went over to Coinbase, and and there it was, the Ethereum token for $19.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I quickly had to scoop some of those up. So ever since then, because of the Ethereum blockchain and the technology that it brings, I knew that corporate America and enterprises would be moving towards that type of technology rather than a blockchain technology. And so I've just continued to follow Ethereum, and I'm very much an Ethereum girl. Okay. I'm an Ethereum girl living in a blockchain world. So that was kind of like a joke that came about with my other community, the Blockchain Sisterhood, which I know that you guys are familiar with. Jen Grayson actually started the Sisterhood, and she was like, hey, I need you to help me get this group going. And so, it is a fantastic women's group. It's made up of a lot of CEOs and project founders, and it's very, very supportive of the women that are in there. And there are brilliant women in there. They continue to amaze me every single day. So I just kind of hashtagged Ethereum girl, because it let's face it, it goes with Madonna's, material girl. Right.
Yep.
And I just kind of played around with it, and it kind of stuck, and I really like it. And so I have a vision of creating Ethereum Girl or Ethereum Girls, which will be a community that specifically supports women entrepreneurs who are looking to build on the Ethereum blockchain with the Ethereum technology. So that's kind of where I'm headed with it. There's a lot of fun things that I envision us doing with it.
Well, I love it. I mean, you're already in some communities, right? Now you're talking about extending into a new community that's very targeted. What has been being part of community, particularly with other women? Because you mentioned the sisterhood. What has that meant for your development and for your advancement?
It's real interesting because I love women, and I love all women, but I'm going to be honest. Women can be very catty. Okay.
Oh,
they
you're
can
kidding,
be very, it's kind of like, right? So, and I've kind of struggled with that my entire life because I'm just me, and I don't play the game. I've never played the game. If there's something I want to know, I'm going to ask you. If there's something that I have said, just ask me, because you're going to get the truth. It's not the whole, oh, I didn't say that. That's not me. And I support and love all women, no matter who they are. Okay. And I really think that we need, as women, we need to start fostering more relationships, more true supportive relationships of each other. And that is what the sisterhood is. I mean, there is none of that goes on. And, I really want to foster that type of environment as well, because, let's face it, women in blockchain, women in crypto, we're the minorities. I mean, we struggle every day, especially when it comes to fundraising. I mean, it is so much harder for us to get, to raise funds than it is for the men of the world. And, we're really trying to bring equality to that area of the industry.
Hey, Casey, why don't you jump in here a little bit? Because I know you work a lot with companies and building that right culture and getting the teams right, working the right way. Why don't you talk a little bit about kind of the team environment? How can you take these same principles? Chrissy's kind of using this with a community that probably largely independent, right, Chrissy? Most of the people are.
Yes.
And so how do these similar principles work within companies, Casey, within building a team or building a group?
Well, so many things that you said, Chrissy, I just love, especially the fact that you are surrounding yourself with brilliant women, because I think it's so important, that you're the average of the 5 people that are closest to you. So you always want those people to be just a little bit better. And that's one of the things that I try to do with my team, is I always try to bring people that are just a little bit better, so that they can see what they can become. I'm always bringing in experts. I'm always trying to build that community through networking, not necessarily in blockchain, because I know nothing about that, or cryptocurrency, but put me in a recruiting group. I got this, right? And I think it's so important that you do that. And I wanted to ask you, I'm going to kind of derail for just a second, but you have a quote on your Facebook. Do you know, you know that off the top of your head?
Oh, it's one of Mel's quotes. It's something about being flawless.
So I wrote it down, if you don't mind.
Okay, because you caught me off guard with that.
So I love that your little tagline is "Flawsome."
Yeah, flawsome.
And if you read that, it's an individual who embraces their flaws and shows they are awesome regardless. Which I think that all women should embrace that. I love that.
Absolutely. And I am very much a Mel Robbins fan. I was very fortunate to stumble upon her. The universe, I'm a very big believer in the universe and how everything happens for a reason. And so I was walking my dog and scrolling through YouTube, and her TED Talk popped up out of the blue. I'd never even heard of her. And so I listened to that, and I was like, oh my God, who is this chick? Right? I'm like, oh my gosh, she's my new Shiro,
I love that.
And so, yes, Shiro. Yeah. Yeah. Male is my Shiro.
You're good at this.
Yeah.
At blending these words.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And so I Googled her, and I've spent the last, since my job with HP was offshored, right? I left corporate America. Blessing. I started doing network marketing, affiliate marketing. I was involved in a affiliate community manager, just different things like that. And so I Googled her, and I noticed that she was doing a free course, and it was how to find your passion. And so, oh yeah. Well, I have everything, Mel, by the way. So I even have, well, I'll tell you that in a minute. But so I Googled.
Just on Mel. Just so you know.
Would you like to get Mel on here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Speak it
Well,
into
let me see what I can do.
Chrissy's compulsive
She's kind of busy right now because she's getting ready to launch her TV show.
I know.
Which, by the way, okay, we'll get into that later too. But anyway,
fellow TEDx speakers, we should unite. So.
Oh, I will. Yeah. So I signed up for this course, and I took it. And at the end of it, she rolled out her very first Power of You session, which was a 12-week coaching program with Mel every day, live, weekly live, 2-hour live sessions with a close-knit community. We had a Facebook group. I mean, it was like being mentored literally one-on-one by Mel Robbins. And so, oh, girl, you have no idea. So, at the end of that, after hearing her give the passion training, I think the course was, it was like $200.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It was something like that. And I even emailed the guy and I said, I feel guilty. I feel so guilty for paying this amount of money for Mel. I've paid a lot more for a lot worse. And so during that first session of The Power of You, I learned so much about myself. She has a way of, she is no cookie cutter, man. She hits you in the gut when you need it.
Oh yeah.
She is the most authentic person I have ever seen or come encountered with in my life. And, I resonate with that because just her and her style. And she's truly authentic. And I think that more women need that. We as women leaders and women in business in general, I think that being authentic and showing who you are and being your true self can open up so many doors for you. Not to mention the fact that until you become completely confident with yourself and who you are, you're going to struggle to succeed. And that was one thing that Mel really taught us and continues to teach us. And, I think women have more of an issue with confidence and self-esteem than men do.
And I think another issue, Chrissy, and this is a pet peeve of mine, and people that seen past episodes of the show will know I occasionally talk about this, which is there's a lot of advice out there telling women essentially to act like men, right? So there's these books out there, and they really drive me insane because I've read a lot of the women's books. And they'll say, well, if you want to be successful, this is how men do things, copy, paste, act like a man in the workplace. And I think it's really setting women up for a bad positioning, right? Because, yes, there are some women that personality style works well with, and that's fine if that's the woman you are. But for most women, there's other skill sets that are untapped when you try to act like a man, and I think it's a huge mistake.
It is. And actually, Mel, she shared that segment that she did. It came up again in my feed, and I shared it in the sisterhood because we were talking about, there was a subject about how somebody had received an invite and said, you'll need to do this just like the men or something like that. And it's a segment that Mel produced about for women about stop doing this in your meetings. You're hurting yourself and you're hurting your career. And it's when women are in meetings and they start to take notes, they're automatically placing themselves in a role of being a secretary instead of an equal to the men in the room. And, that and it's just our nature because, we're more detail oriented, right? We like to know everything as women. And, we want to make sure that we get all of the notes and we get all of the details. But, she goes in and talks about how that can really damage your career as a woman because it almost puts you beneath as if you are being submissive in the role of, not that there's anything wrong with being a secretary or someone who captures notes. It's just that when you are in a meeting with executives, it kind of lowers you down a little bit when you are in the room and you start taking the notes.
Yeah.
And it also takes away from your focus when you're being asked questions, or it takes away your power. Okay, as a female, it really does. And so, I encourage anyone to go to melrobbins.com and review her stuff. And, she's got her new TV show that's launching September 16th, which is fantastic. I cannot wait for that, because during the first Power of You session, we actually joked about the Mel Robbins show.
Yeah.
And it was, nowhere on the horizon. And by 2018, there it was, so we're super excited about it. I just love Mel. And, behind every successful person, there's always a partner, right? And Chris, her husband, he's a phenomenal supporter. And he actually has a men's retreat that he does that is really good for men as well. But really, the brains behind it is Mandy B.
Yeah.
So we always kind of joke, Mel Robbins by Mandy B. So, and she's just a phenomenal person.
Yeah. So,
and that is her partner, her company partner.
Right. I wanted to kind of go back. You have given us so much information, but I kind of wanted to go back to one of the key points that I think is probably one of the most important points that you made, and that's authenticity. I think that is so important. We use another word here because, we deal with candidates on a daily, sometimes hourly basis to submit to our clients. And one of the things we always tell our candidates and our clients is that we're going to be transparent with them.
Mm-hmm.
There are times when it's not going to be a good fit for one reason or another, and we're not going to sugarcoat it. We're going to tell you. And I think that's one of the reasons why our candidates and our clients keep coming back to us, is because we do have that authenticity that we offer them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to get there. And had I not gone through I'd like to think that I've always been authentic, and I've always been, this is me, to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I am more around people who are not in my inner circle than my outer circle. Because there are, you all as women, and I'm sure men struggle with this too, but, as women, we're always, there's a certain level of fear of being judged. Are they going to judge me for this? Are they going to judge me for that? And, crypto, I know, right?
Yeah.
So crypto is one of those things. So, back in early 2017, here I am posting stuff about Bitcoin. You should have seen some of the looks that I got in my inner circle. It was like, she's gone to the dark web, I'm like, yeah, you just wait. You're going to wish you would have started.
Yeah.
So we may have to have another conversation about that.
Yeah. That may be a whole other segment, Chrissy. We'd love that.
Hey, we can just do a weekly segment if you want.
We can do a weekly segment. There you go.
The Crypto Chrissy Show. How's that?
You need a show, right? So, I know you're doing a lot of great stuff. You're building a community. How can people find your stuff? How can they interact with your material?
Yeah. So, Shawn,
you got a LinkedIn feed.
So all transparency, right? Let's be transparent. Okay. Yes. I am, I'm just not good at that, right? I don't write content.
Well, people know.
I'm not a writer.
People know who you are because I said we need some great women business leaders.
Yeah.
Right at the top of the pile.
They can go to my LinkedIn feed, and I actually switched from Facebook over to LinkedIn because it's so much, when you are in crypto, when you get the crypto bug, it's like nothing else matters, and you want to go where the people who are in that are. And there's a lot of good stuff on LinkedIn. I haven't figured out, I'm not much of a Twitter person. I'm a Gen Xer. So Facebook is like, yeah, okay. And I don't do a lot of Instagram. And, it took me a while, honestly, to break out on LinkedIn with crypto stuff out of out of fear again of my past contacts, right, from corporate America, going, what is she gotten into? But then I realized, because, you know, I've mastered the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins, that it doesn't matter, that I need to be me. And I know blockchain and crypto is the future, because corporate America taught me it was. They taught me the signs to look for. You know, if I didn't have that work history, I would have never recognized from the first time I was introduced to it that it was the future, and it is. And, you know, so you have to break down those barriers and just use the 5-second rule.
That was
Go
so
for
cute
it.
that you were doing that right before the show. Like, you were literally going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I know. Shh, don't tell Mel. Don't tell Mel I said it out loud. I'll get in trouble. Because she tells us all the time. Now, I don't want to hear about you guys counting out loud in front of people, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, so, but you know what? It works.
Well,
It really
Absolutely
does.
work.
And there's
There's
science
science.
behind it.
Oh,
There is.
Well, check
absolutely.
Would you like to know what it is?
Go ahead.
Okay, so apparently your frontal lobe, right, the cortex. So you have 5 seconds from the time a thought enters your mind to act on it. And that is before your brain kicks in and goes, oh, wait a minute, you don't want to do that, right? All of your fear resistors, or your fear receptors, or anything that takes you outside of your comfort zone, all those doubts come into play, and you have 5 seconds to act. So, and she uses a great analogy of, if you really want to meet somebody, right, and you see them in person, and you're so excited, and you go, God, I just want to go introduce myself. You have 5 seconds to act on that. Because if you don't act in those 5 seconds, you will not walk up to that person and introduce yourself.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So, Chrissy,
Oh, it is.
Thanks for joining us and adding so much value to our audience. Folks out there listening, pat yourself on the back for doing the hard work, investing in yourself. Hopefully you've got some great tips. I know there's a lot of fantastic material here. We'd love your comments. Drop them at Women Business Leaders on the YouTube channel. We want to hear from you. We want to interact with you. We want to know what you're learning, what issues you got, what you picked up from the episode. Also, go over to futureofwomeninbusiness.com. You can see our past episodes. You can see our upcoming guests. You can also get on our email list, get some freebies from us. So go check out all that. We really appreciate you being here, Chrissy, and adding so much to our audience. And folks, thank you for the hard work. Casey?
And you know, Shawn, people can reach out to me on LinkedIn at any time.
There you go. Go find her on LinkedIn. She's got some great stuff out there.
Thanks so much.